Have that dump button ready, because I honestly have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth.
Get ready for takeoff.
There is no way that I'm tapping out now.
You're listening to Unkillable.
If you didn't kill us last night, we are unkillable.
Hosted by Brandon Tierney.
What's happening, everybody? Episode number 31 of Unkillable. Been a minute, but we are digging in for the long run here. So you're going to be seeing a lot of these and a lot of me, and hopefully it is all good. You know what's funny? I just got off the air, WFAN. And one of the things I really talked about with the Yankees is their lack of culture. You know, and it's such a hard word to really describe. We throw it out there all the time. Culture. How do you actually get there? Well, I think the first way you get there is you start with accountability. That's without accountability, you have no culture. So rather than running through, I'm not going to really run through the first preseason game, although I did like what I saw. I'll pull a couple of things from there. This is more bigger picture. And how about just for once a buttoned up offseason? Well, isn't it nice? Isn't it phenomenal to just kind of sit back and not worry about what's Aaron going to say with McAfee, or what star are they going to chase? What receiver might they go out there and get? It has been quiet, which tells me that the seeds of culture have been planted. And then you tune in and you guys follow the clips and you read the articles, and obviously everybody who's piped in that you follow. It has been a hard-hitting camp. I mean, they've been hitting from day one. And listen, I don't know how else to say it. Aaron Glenn ain't fucking around. I mean, Aaron Glenn is not here to fuck around at all. And the thing about the Jets, and we know this for years, is that they didn't have an adult coaching them. All right. Robert Saleh was a hand holder. He was soft. He looked like Tarzan. He coached like Jane. You're getting the complete antithesis with Aaron Glenn, a guy who's been there, a guy who's done it, a guy who's been on the Parcells and some other really good staff. Most recently, Dan Campbell. So he knows what he's looking for. And the first thing that he's looking for, aside from style of play, is if you do something stupid, and by stupid, I mean like selfish, like, all right, I know I'm 2 feet out of bounds. Let me just jack this guy up anyway, because it's going to deliver like a bone-jarring hit to make a highlight. He ain't putting up with that shit. I mean, I saw him light up more guys in one preseason game than Robert Saleh or Adam Gase before did in their entire Jets tenure. I mean, how refreshing is this? So now you can start to see it coming together. And I've been saying, even though I haven't done a pod in a while, and that's obviously going to change, we're all systems go. Leading up to week one with the Steelers, the post-game reactions, it is on. It is officially go time. But one thing that I've said really on the fan when it's come up with the Jets here is that, to me, I think this was going back a while ago, that it's going to be very, very identifiable what their identity is going to be. And their identity is going to be, they're going to line it up and they're going to look to run the football 30, 31, 32 times a game. Now, they did it 40 against the Packers. All right, Fields didn't play that much. You get some backups, whatever. But the way you've got to start building that tenacity and in the trenches, because without the trenches, you got nothing, is you've got to give the guys up front like a green light to just go and mash people. And, if you're 320, you don't want to just like drop back in coverage and have to, dance around and, you're going to have to do it sometimes, obviously, but you don't want to have to play that way all the time. When you've got some guy coming off the edge who's running a 4.40, who's bending down, touching the ground, that is going to get by you because you're just bigger and a little slower. These big guys, I don't care if it's Brick, I don't care if it's Mangold, I don't care if it's Willie Colon, I don't care if it's, Alan Fatica. It doesn't matter who it was from back in the day. Kevin Mawai, they want to put those big fat hands in the dirt and they want to just shove their helmets down your chest and they want to beat the shit out of you. And that's how you start. So how does the culture start? The culture shift, the culture change, or the culture development, however you want to, because there was no culture. So I guess it's more culture. You're not going to change. If there was no culture, it's not a change, it's a development. How is a culture born? It's by giving the guys up front the green light to go and hurt people. And now the identity just becomes a little more understood. We're here to bang. We're here to push you back, and we're here to fight for 4 quarters. Now, listen, I obviously understand that there's going to be some games, although the Jets defense should be really good as well. There's going to be some games where something wacky happens. Hell, it could happen week 1 against the Steelers, and then they have to abandon the run a bit, and the pass and the run is more even than I believe that they want it to be this season. Opening kick, you fumble it, the other team gets a quick score, then you go 3 and out, and then then there's a penalty downfield, short field, touchdown, boom, you look up, it's 14-0. And then, maybe you don't get anything cooking on offense, and it's 14-3, 17-3, 27-7, then that's a totally different script. But when the Jets come out of the tunnel, they're looking to run it. And they got the horses to do it. Like the Jets offensive line, to me, it's just so interesting. They've got, number one, they're young. Number two, they're all highly rated. Really, even Simpson from the Ravens, who they acquired last year, is a winner from a winning franchise and just a mean guy who wants to play, some dirty football. You look at Olu, look at the kid they drafted this year, Tippmann, like that. Now you got a chance to gel a little bit, right? And so I look at this and I'm saying, well, how are the Jets going to divvy up their 30-ish to 35 carries, of the 17 games? Let's say 2 or 3 get away from them early, but the other 13 or 14, they could really impose their will and they can remain married to their play sheet. Well, the way you do that, and you can just see it there. I mean, Braylon Allen, first of all, he is what an interesting player. Obviously, Breece Hall is very talented. And, you come out and those guys between those, and even their third running back, they're probably going to get, 24 to 25 carries between them around. And then you mix in Justin Fields. And you mix in design runs, you mix in scrambles when the pocket breaks down in a passing situation, and you look up, and all of a sudden, you've got the 30 runs. And when you have the 30 runs, what happens? Tick, tick, as Chris Berman would say, tick, 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 tick. The clock is dropping, and you're on the field from an offensive perspective for a good, instead of 25 minutes or 26, now it's more in your favor. Now it tilts like 36, 37, 38. And now it gives the defense a chance to, be well rested and attack. And the Jets, they've had some good defensive players and they've had some good defenses over the years, but I don't care how good you are, you're going to wear down when you're always playing from behind, So I really don't take a whole lot from preseason. So this is not reacting to a 20-point win, although I love what I saw. Even the who was it? Was it Isaiah Davis? On the Justin Fields 14-yard touchdown run, you can see the running back selling it in the back of the end zone with his hands up, all right? So that whomever was that, I guess that would have been, was that a linebacker? Whomever was on him, corner, safety, linebacker, whatever, they can't say, all right, this is a run, I can leave him, because the threat of the pass was there because it sold it so well. So to me, that is a detail that has already been preached. I mean, it really is. God, it's pathetic when you think about how many Sundays we woke up over the last basically 14 years, encompassing multiple coaches and multiple quarterbacks and multiple coordinators and multiple styles. And, when you're sitting there with your buddies, like if you had a football conversation, like, hey, how are we going to try to win today? I don't know. I have no idea. Are we going to let Aaron Rodgers fling it 35 to 40 times? Yeah, maybe. Sounds possible. With no movement, which is something else you saw. You see a lot of pre-snap stuff. You see the fullback. The Niners have done this for years. Good teams generally have everybody as an option, whereas the Jets basically limited themselves because what they presented to the opposition, it wasn't believable. So focus on Garrett, focus on the pass rush. That's it. And, because the O-line's been problematic for a while, and because the Jets really very rarely had leads to kind of work their run in, it's like, all right, let's run it. All right, 2 yards, 2nd and 8. Let's throw it. You can see, and again, without overreacting to one game against the Packers in early August, but you can see that there's going to be a lot of, 1st and 10 from their own 25, run, boom, 5 yards up the gut, 6 yards off tackle. getting in space, getting to the second level, getting to the third level. And when you do that, now the entire playbook is open. But of all the stuff, honestly, when you look at the start of the Aaron Glenn era, it has been buttoned up. It has been one of very direct messaging. You suddenly don't see Sauce and some of these other Jets popping off with bullshit on social media, because I guarantee it was impressed upon them immediately. Keep it in-house. Don't be a knucklehead. We don't need to tell the world what we're thinking. Be a big boy. And that is from Parcells. And it's going to be fun to watch, man. He is going to be fiery. And again, he is just not playing around. And early on, and the other thing about Aaron too, not every 15-yard penalty is the same, because there are penalties that are committed out of either stupidity, meaning you just don't see what's there, or you didn't study film, and that's inexcusable. That's one problem. Or selfishness, and I'm trying to make a name for myself, and I'm trying to sell out and deliver a big pop and make myself look good because my team sucks and I want to get paid and I want to get some traction around the NFL and on social media. Those are the penalties where you will be benched. You will leave the field. There will be direct repercussions. And think about this, guys. Back to the Yankee conversation that I mentioned to start the pod here. So I was on vacation this past week, obviously, but right before I went on vacation, Austin Wells just wanders off a base, has no idea how many outs there are. What's the penalty? There was none. He stayed in the game, and he's basically been playing. I know he splits a little bit of time with Rice, whatever, lefty matchup stuff, matchup driven analytical stuff. But there was no pointing to hey, this is so utterly substandard because your head was not in the game that you're not playing. You're going to watch now. And Jazz Chisholm, he's on second base. There's a pop-up to second. Wanders off. Where the fuck are you going? Where do you think you're going? It's the height of idiocy. And then after the game, if you recall, if you're a big Yankee fan, what did Jazz do? He doubled down. He said, yeah, I'd do it again. So that's fantastic. So you're a dope twice. We gave you a chance to say, my bad. I misread it. No, I'd do it again. Fantastic. So the next time that happens, whatever the equivalent of a dumb football play would be like that, I can promise you, it's not going to happen with as much prevalence, because there will be harsh repercussions. That's the theme, repercussions. Because without repercussions, there's no culture. Without any fear of something negative happening to me, whether you're a child, with your parents, or in school with your teacher or principal, or in the workforce, or with law enforcement, if you're not aware of what can happen to you if you aren't buttoned up and locked in and abide by, I don't want to make it too serious, the law, but adhere to the rules, well, now you understand. If you do understand that stuff, all right, I'm getting one chance at this here. And I think that is so abundantly clear what Aaron Glenn is bringing to the table. No cute cliches, no bullshit, just direct messaging, accountability, forcefulness, excitement when something good happens. And, it's different because Aaron Glenn played. Now, these players, I'm old enough to have watched Aaron Glenn. Not only was he a terrific corner, he was an outstanding return man for a couple of years. So Aaron Glenn was an outstanding football player, outstanding. So not only does he have credentials as a coach, but, these young players, just go to YouTube, pop in Aaron Glenn. How about that? I remember it like it was yesterday, 99, maybe it was even 100. I think it was 99 yards, pick six off Dan Marino down in Miami, 95, 96, whatever it was. That's Dan Marino taking him to the house, or, myriad other things. He had a 108-yard kickoff return. They tried a long field goal. That was against the Colts. And I think this was 98, and it was short, and he returned it, and he took it all the way back to the house, 108 yards. The man knows detail. He is detail oriented, and he's just coming with a different vibe. He's coming with a different level of expectation. And it is just I can't say it enough. I watched that game, and I listened to all the post-practice accounts from him. And it wasn't a direct knock at Saleh. Like, I don't think certain players, like Garrett Wilson was one, Quentin Williams was another. I think Sauce may have been one as well. But you had like the first or second day of camp, even really going back to OTAs, you had multiple prominent Jets telling us how different it was. And again, I think they like Robert Saleh. I think that Robert Saleh is a really easy guy to like. Shit, who wouldn't like somebody who lets you get away with everything with no penalty? That's why Rodgers is like, I'm not feeling this guy. No, because Rodgers is one of accountability as well. Even if he's got his quirks, whatever, even if you're not a big Rodgers fan, you'd have to grant me that. So I was bullish on, like when the Jets and the Giants would come up during the early part of spring, certainly around the draft. Again, it's not some bold proclamation, but you got to start somewhere. I was bullish on both teams. The Giants getting Abdul Carter, who's going to be ridiculous. Maybe they drafted their future quarterback in Jackson Dart, who looked really good. Andrew Thomas has to stay healthy, but I think that at least the Giants are moving in the right direction. And I think the Jets are ahead because, number one, schedule is easier, but more importantly, Jets have more talent than the New York Giants do. They've got more talent. And when talent is pushed and prodded and inspired and cajoled and motivated, when those two forces meet, when the talent meets the description that I just used, when that meets, even if there's some early resistance, which I don't think that there was, not with Glenn, doesn't seem to be that way. I think the players, listen, great players want to get coached. Great players don't want some country club atmosphere and want to freaking win. They got a finite window in terms of earning power and carving out NFL legacies. Nobody wants to be shit on every day on the radio and crushed in the papers and crushed on social media. It's not fun. Hell, when people do it with me as a broadcaster, I don't love it. Yeah, you're used to it. You don't really let it bother you that much, but it's not fun. So I don't think they're that different, even though they make a ton more money and they're playing sports for a living. I'm talking sports. It's the same premise, You want to be held to a standard. And the Jets, to me, I don't think that it's unrealistic to expect them to win some games early. I really don't. Steelers favored by 3.5. The Jets, if they enter that week healthy, I think the Jets will win that game. I'm feeling good. But man, oh man, watching Glenn just explode. That was freaking beautiful. It was absolutely glorious. It's everything that we pined for. I mean, it really is. When you think about the essence of whether it's sports talk radio or your text chains or your WhatsApp chains with your buddies or, what you contribute to social media. All right. I mean, sure, if a guy's not playing well, we're going to get on him. But there's just certain things that are non-negotiable. We need certain floor standards. Like, you've got to be engaged. You've got to play with intelligence. You've got to play for the guy next to you. And all those things were missing for the Jets for far too long. So this is step one. Again, not some crazy, pie in the sky, Jets are going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is the Jets season is not going to be over by October. It's not going to be over by October. I don't think the Giants season's over by October anyway, but the Jets season will be much longer. It will be much more meaningful, and it will be a template of hopefully for the future. So I'm feeling good. Let me bring my guy Evan in, see how he's feeling. We don't always agree. A lot of times we do, because let's face it, when the Jets are absolute shit, it's a contrarian view, even if you want to try. Yeah. But I mean, like I said, Aaron Glenn ain't fucking around.
No, it was awesome seeing him light guys up on the sideline, because it's like good coaches don't want their teams to get penalties, So it's like you got to coach that out of guys. And if a guy has a healthy amount of fear that if I jump too early and get a flag here, this guy's going to light me up on the sideline, he might not do it as much,
Yeah. So, too, and I started to say before, there's varying degrees of bad penalties. Not every 15-yard penalty is the same. Again, the selfish one to get on a highlight reel because you're not dialed in, you missed an assignment, whatever, you're late, and because you're sloppy. That's one thing. And he didn't treat every 15-yarder the same, if you noticed.
Yeah.
Then there were 15-yarders where I'm trying to make a play. I was in the right spot, but just maybe because it's week 1 of the preseason, my spatial awareness wasn't quite where it needs to be, because for the 2 weeks that we've been practicing, I'm not looking to level my teammate into next week. I'm pulling up as I'm pulling up. And those things are correctable. So it's a fine line between, unleashing a group of young, physical, hungry men trying to, play with passion and simultaneously reel them in where they're not making the same mistakes. My biggest issue, my 2 biggest issues with Saleh was that, number one, he always made excuses for these guys, and there was never, ever an ounce of accountability. And you just know from one game, from one series, Aaron Glenn's the complete opposite, completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, you can be a player's coach when you're with them, but you need to show accountability as well, because I feel like sometimes, especially in today's games and really all the sports, a lot of guys, it's like, nah, let's not do that because that's going to cause a problem in the clubhouse. Where Aaron Glenn's like, I'm trying to win. And it's like, at the end of the day, if we're winning, guys aren't going to be mad in the clubhouse because they're going to be like, dude, we might actually break the curse here for once.
I know.
We might actually win. We just signed an extension. I don't want to suck for 5 years. You know?
100%. And the term player's coach, I think it gets a little hijacked sometimes. When you hear it's a player's coach, there's an element of softness that's attached to it. Let him get away with stuff. You can be a hard ass like Aaron Glenn's going to be. You can be incredibly demanding and non-negotiable from what you demand of these players. But where I think he's going to be a very effective player's coach is because he played. He's going to work them hard. They're going to hit during the week, even not every day, but even during the season, they'll do a little bit of hitting. But that innate sensibility, he'll just look at these guys, whether they're stretching or whatever they're doing, and he'll say, just because he's been there, all right, we're looking, they need a day that's a little different, and they're probably expecting me to be full bore because that's what we've been doing since day one. Now I'm gonna dial it back a little bit and give them a little room to regenerate physically. That's the deviation from the taskmaster, which I think Aaron Glenn's going to be, but also the knowledge, because he lived it, of when to say, all right, I get it. I feel it. I see it. I sense it. I smell it. We're going to go a little different direction today, boys. But now tomorrow, when it's back to business, don't fuck me.
Yeah. Yeah. And the ability to recognize what's a bad, like you were saying before, what's a bad penalty where you're going to get on your guy, and then what's a penalty where it's that could go either way, maybe get on the ref. So then the guy can easily identify all right, I screwed up there. He's holding me accountable. I respect the hell out of that. But then also he'll have my back if I do something that I'm in the right and the ref just, completely screws me. So
100%. He's also the kind of guy where, and Saleh, he was just awful at this. And so was Gase. Good God. Those two names just drive me insane. Gase more because I liked Saleh more, but then at the end, I'm that's enough. Stop.
Yeah.
But the other thing that Aaron Glenn will do, and this is where you accrue points in the locker room, is if a reporter is going after a player and the reporter doesn't have his X's and O's lined up, Aaron Glenn will check him. And that won't be, I'm not saying he's going to curse him out.
No.
He'll contextualize no, I'll just take Rich Samini. And it's not a knock at Rich, but no, Rich, you're wrong. Rich, that's not the way it is, man. Trust me. Yeah. That's not what the film's saying. Trust me. And when players hear that and see that, and it's always going to get back to them on social media, it will further embolden them to want to be all in for that guy because they know. I think they already know, but they will truly know he's got our back. He's hard, and he's going to push us, and he's not afraid if there's a camera there to light us up a little bit. We've already seen it. But if we're doing the right thing, he's going to have our back aggressively. And that creates a foxhole, a foxhole mentality, this environment that is great. And the other thing, too, this notion, and there's a lot of teams around the NFL that do this. I think it was a little less this year. Maybe they're finally getting the memo. You got to be ready to start a season. This bullshit for bad teams with starters not playing. For what? For what? What the hell did you do to deserve? You're playing, dude. We sucked last year.
Yeah. No, that makes no sense to me because it's also I think they were saying the past couple of years, I'm blanking on which exact team it was right now, but they wouldn't start their guys. And then it was the first 3 weeks they would stink every year. And it's like, maybe because you haven't gotten the same track with your guys when you had 3 weeks where it didn't count to get on track with your guys.
Yeah. And that, by the way, that's not just a Jet thing. If you look at the way the NFL season, what it's become really. See, back in the day, I don't even mean 30 years ago, but even, mid-ish 2000s, Rex took the Snoopy Bowl very seriously, as we know. Like the Jets and the Giants, Eli as well, they would play into the third quarter. Yeah. They'd play, and they would be much more prepared to start the season. And, because there's now 17 games and because player safety and protocol and practices and hitting, there's so many more restraints that they're like these insulated test tube bait, like the bubble boy. They don't want anybody to get hurt. I got news for you. You're probably, I don't have data or evidence to back this up. It's my opinion that there's probably a greater propensity to get hurt if you're not physically ready to start the season. Like at least if you incrementally, preseason week 1, you play 2 series. And then this week 2, you play maybe to midway through I would think they'll play to halftime, I think. Yeah. And then the third one, you do whatever you want. It almost doesn't matter. But now you've been ratcheted up enough where when you get to week 1 and it's for real, that you're not stunned and you're not ill prepared and physically not prepared to play. But it's been an NFL issue where really the first month of the season that's why betting is impossible in the first month. The standings are an absolute, they're flipped early on. So the Patriots beating the Bengals last year, right? Week 1. Bad Patriots team. So I just think that he's looking at this and he's doing it on his terms, where Saleh was kind of conforming to what a lot of his peers were doing and the trends in the NFL. But to shake this team out of the doldrums and to end this 14-year malaise, the longest playoff drought in North American team sports. Hey, common sense, you got to shake it up. You got to go back. And they are. And the best way to become comfortable is to be uncomfortable. And then once you're uncomfortable to start, now you become comfortable being uncomfortable. You could be coached hard. You could practice hard. You could be called out a little bit in the media, and you're a little desensitized to it. You're callous to it. So that's what I have seen so far. And to me, it has been a glorious, like the imagery, everything that I read about. There's not really one thing that I have not liked so far. Now, I will say this. I'm going to end it with this here. And I'll definitely do something before the Giants game as well and after the Giants game. But I am a little worried about the second receiver. Like I am with Josh Reynolds, kid they took out of Georgia, who flies, but, he's been known as somebody with bad hands. I think the old Jets would have gone out for like some superstar name. All right, let's make a crazy trade and let's bring somebody in midseason. I don't think they'll do that. I don't want them to do that. And I'm not even sure if there's anybody to be had, but I do think that Muji with the cut list here, when there'll be a couple of cap casualties, whereas the number 2 wide receiver can really help the Jets, really make it easier for Garrett Wilson. I think it sucks that he's got the ankle sprain. I think Mason Taylor is going to be, a seam vertical weapon that the Jets never have at tight end ever. We've already seen them utilize the fullback. So already in a couple of series, you have multiple things on film. You got field scrambling, you got a fullback here, you got shifts, you got eye candy, you got motion. That's just more for the Steelers and everybody else to prepare for rather than the same predictable nonsense. So in a nutshell, I'm pumped, man. I'm not going nuts here. I'm talking about a culture being born. The results, they'll come when they come. I think they'll come quicker than maybe some people think, but it has been a great start to the Aaron Glenn regime, and it's awesome to see. So there you go, episode 31 in the books. Had to scrape off the rust there, Ev, get back after it, get loose again. So it's good to be back, man, and doesn't feel like we missed a beat at all. So if you have anything to comment, which I'm sure you will, drop them below. Obviously, subscribe, pass it on to Jet fans, not just in New York and New Jersey, You have Jet fans across the country. Let them know. Unkillable Pod everywhere you shop. Obviously, Apple, all the podcast homes. Go get it. And this is going to be a consistent run of at least 2 pods a week, and it is officially the start of the season. So great to be back. Catch me every day on the Fan, Monday through Friday with Sal, and I will catch you a couple of days. Get ready for the G-Men. Have a great day. Bye-bye.